Hello guys, welcome back to this channel, and we are now doing some English learning. This is a project of mine, learning English, and right now we're learning about figures of speech. So if it's the first time you're viewing my videos, you should look under the playlist category and find the other videos because they are classified from video 1 and 2 and 3 and so on. And you also have an introduction, so it explains why I'm doing this project. So like I said, I've covered some other figures of speech, and we've looked at some examples together. And today we'll talk about Simile and what it is. But before we do that, because I like to make a revision of what we've already learned, let's look at the previous figures of speech, if you agree, of course. So what's a metaphor? A metaphor is a comparison when you're comparing two things and you're comparing more than one characteristic or property. So I gave the example: the snow is a white blanket, and the snow is white, and the snow can be like a blanket because it can be a thick layer, and it can cover your driveway, for example. So that's why it's a metaphor. You're comparing two things, and you're taking into account more than one characteristic or property. So that's a metaphor. And what is a metonymy? A metonymy is just when you replace one word with another word, and this word you're using for the replacement is easily associated to the replaced word. Sounds complicated, but let me just give you an example. So metonymy is, for example, I'm loyal to the crown, and it means that I'm loyal to the queen. Why we can make this association? Basically because queens, they wear crowns, so we can say I'm loyal to the crown. It's the same as saying I'm loyal to the queen, because the crown is an attribute of the queen. All right, this is an example of a metonymy. Now, if you remember, this is a very difficult word to pronounce. It's onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is the sound that you hear, for example, a tick or a wham or a buzz or a clap or well, a boom. These are sounds. And for example, if I would say my watch ticks loudly, it means that it works. Sorry, it works loudly. And if you listen to your watch working, you will hear the ticks, tick, 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 tick. So the verb ticking and to tick and the sound, actually they look very similar. And if you will also say that, for example, I've heard a boom, and then there was a big mushroom, for example, in the sky, or a ball of fire, and so on. And so that was an explosion. And the boom is, I've heard a boom. It's a noun here, but it's also the sound that you will hear. There was really the sound of a boom. So this is an onomatopoeia. And let's look at what's an oxymoron. An oxymoron is when you have in a phrase or in a sentence uh, two words contradicting each other. And a good example was the comedian was seriously funny. To be serious and funny at the same time, that's not possible. But actually, you can keep a very serious face and say funny things, and that will also work. But here, it's not the technique or the humor you're using, but it's the fact that he was really funny or very funny. So he was seriously funny. He was doing his job as a comedian perfectly, or in a very good way. All right, so that's oxymoron. And what about a not a padawan, but what about a paradox? A paradox is now not two words contradicting each other, but the whole sentence is contradicting. So it looks like it doesn't make sense, but it's a technique that you can use to embellish or improve your English, or improve your writing, make it more interesting, more spicy and, you know, colorful. And an example is never say never. By saying never say never, you're already saying never, and so it's kind of the rule. I mean, the exception confirming the rule, and so you understand the complexity. So now it can keep you thinking, can make you thoughtful about things, and this is quite of the that's quite the aim of the thing. When you use paradox, usually it's for you to think more about things. If I'll tell you, don't go to the waters till you know how to swim. So don't go to the lake and so on till you know how to swim. But how can you learn to swim if you don't go to the water? But it means at the same time that you have to look for help, supervision, because it's very dangerous. So it put more accent. It emphasizes the aspect of danger. All right, so let's quickly move to personification. Time is running, the clock is ticking, and personification is when you make or you give attributes, human attributes. Well, let me rephrase this. Personification is when you give human characteristic to something that is not human and a non-living thing, an inert thing, such as a car. For example, if you say that my car is a beauty, well, usually if someone is a beauty, it's a living thing. And if you say that my car is staring at me with its big eyes and so on, and you consider the headlights being eyes, so you're personificating the car or your car. Usually we do it in cartoons and so on, or for fairy tales. And what's a pun? A pun is when you're playing with words and you want to give double meaning to what you're saying. And an example will be, for example, like I said before, uh, yeah, the previous example was uh, an egg is a breakfast difficult to beat. So it means that an egg for the breakfast is difficult to beat. So it means that it's very common to have an egg for breakfast, and at the same time, it means, you know, that it's actually, I have to rephrase it. It was not an egg. Um, I'm doing it from memory. I'm sorry. This is all simultaneous, and um, I mean, it's all live. It's all improvisation. I didn't prepare any script for this video, and let me remind myself. Let me recall what it was. So I said an egg is a breakfast not easy to beat. That was the example actually, because not easy, it makes the sentence more beautiful and it gives this double meaning to the sentence. So an egg is a breakfast difficult to beat. So not easy, not difficult, but not easy. It means that not easy to eat. We can write it eat because an egg is a very basic breakfast. And if you're eating an egg every day in the morning, you might get bored. You might be tired eating the same thing. But at the same time, it's very common as a breakfast, and that's why we say that it's difficult to. It's not easy to beat because we basically take eggs for breakfast, and that's the British breakfast. Okay, enough of this. That was a pun, by the way. That's a pun when you have double meaning uh, to a sentence, and that's because you're using words. You're playing on with words. For example, beat sounds like eat, and it gives this double meaning to the sentence. Okay, so we have covered everything that we have seen so far, and that's for all those who watched my previous videos. And let's look at today's figure of speech. Simile. What's a simile? A simile is a phrase which compares something to something else using the words like or as. Like or as. If I say he's like a queen or he's like a princess, it's a simile. So I'm comparing two things. And here we have some other examples. For example, her hair was as gold as the sun. So here we have double as. This is kind of an conjunction thing, if I'm not mistaken. So as and her hair was as gold as the sun. She was beautiful as an angel, or she looks like a model, and so on. Uh, he's like a hero to me. So he's like a hero. If you're talking about someone that you have a very high respect for, it might be your father or grandfather and so on. You can say he's like a hero to me, and you're comparing him to a hero. And heroes can be, for example, Superman and so on. And so he's very brave and so on. You're giving him all the characteristics at once. And she sings like a diva, and so you want to, again, there is this the use of this word like, and you want to make her um how to say, you want to say that she is singing like a diva, and a diva sings very well, and that's what you want to say. That's the information you want to convey, and that's these are example of simile. Okay, so I hope you like this video, and I'm sorry if you are catching up only now with this video, because I spent so much time talking about the previous figures of speech. But this is very good because repetition is essential for learning and memorizing. All right, so if you are not subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button, give it a thumb up, give it a like, share it. Sharing is caring. And till next time, take care. Thanks. Cheers.